chi-square test of homogeneity is used to test the equality of proportions within a row. So whenever we need to test that within a row, there are certain proportions and we need to see that whether those proportions are equal or are they different from each other, then we apply this chi-square test of homogeneity. So we have already discussed that how to perform the chi-square test of homogeneity onto certain problem. So now I would explain to you that how to enter a problem relating to the test of homogeneity in SPSS and what are the data requirement. So students, the problem of interest was the following data that is being shown to you in form of a contingency table. It is about the political affiliation, Democrat, Republican and Independent, whereas the abortion law that is being shown in form of the rows, and there are three categories for that. The first one is for, then against the abortion law, and last category is the one which remain undecided. So you are required to test the hypothesis that the proportion of Democrats, Republicans and Independents favoring the abortion law are same. So if you just look at this problem, its contingency table is being given. Now if you just look in form of the columns, there are three type of categories are being mentioned. The Democrat, the Republican and Independent. Whereas if you look into the rows, under the abortion law, there are three categories being mentioned: for, against and undecided. Now students, the proportion for each one of them are being shown in this contingency table. For example, if you talk about the first proportion, which is 82, those are the respondents which have the political affiliation as Democrat and they were in favor of the abortion law. So if you just see, before that 82 value, I have mentioned 1,1. Now students, what is this 1, 1? The 1, 1 is indicating that this particular value 82, it is on the position first row and first column. If you just move on row wise, under the Republicans, for the respondents who were favoring the abortion law, the proportion is 70 and its location in terms of the rows and columns is being given as 1, 2. That means the 70 value may be located from the first row and second column. Similarly, if you just look into the last column under the Independent, against the for, there is that proportion of 62 and within parenthesis, the row and column location is being given as 1, 3. So students, इस 62 वैल्यू को अगर लोकेट करना हो तो ये फर्स्ट रो और थर्ड कॉलम में ये वैल्यू लोकेट की जा सकती है. अब स्टूडेंट्स, आपका जो डेटा है वो प्रोपोर्शंस फॉर्म में है. इसको एसपीएसएस में एंटर करने के लिए आपको इसकी रो और कॉलम फॉर्मेशन रिक्वायर्ड होगी. Similarly, we talk about those respondents who remain undecided and their political affiliation was in favor of independence. So they were 21. That is the last value we have had in the contingency table. So students, इसके against अगर आप इसकी location देखिए तो वो है third row and third column. Once you are given with this contingency table, students इसको SPSS में enter करने से पहले आप इसकी row और column location देंगे. Once you have done that, you are looking at the interface, SPSS interface, which is shown before you. Now students, SPSS को जब आप open करते हैं तो उसकी दो तरह की आपको विंडोज नजर आती हैं. आपको दो बटन नजर आते हैं on the left corner of the window. One is indicating the variable view and the other one is an indicator of data view. Once you click onto the variable view button, you can see that this particular window that is being shown onto your screens, it will be appeared. अब स्टूडेंट्स इसमें अगर आप देखिए जो पहली रो है उसमें मैंने एक वेरिएबल नेम लिया है रो, इसकी टाइप है न्यूमेरिक। जो सेकंड मैंने वैल्यू ली है, वेरिएबल डिफाइन किया है, वो कॉलम है और उसकी टाइप भी न्यूमेरिक है। जो तीसरा वेरिएबल मुझे रिक्वायर्ड होगा वो है फ्रीक्वेंसी, जिनको हम काउंट्स कहते हैं, एंड इट्स टाइप इज ऑल्सो न्यूमेरिक। सो स्टूडेंट्स, इस प्रॉब्लम को टैकल करने के लिए अंडर SPSS वी नीड टू डिफाइन 3 कॉलम्स: रो indicating the row position of the value, column which is an indicator of the column where that value is located, and lastly we have the frequency जो कि आपकी उस पोजीशन पे पड़े हुए काउंट्स को रिप्रेजेंट कर रहा है। Now students, how to enter the data now? Once you have defined the row, column and frequency variables, at the left column side of the window you will see the buttons of variable view and data view. So students, once you have defined the 3 variables, you will click on to the data view. Data view में अगर आप देखिए तो मैंने रो में 1 दिया है, कॉलम में 1 दिया है और उसके अगेंस्ट मैंने काउंट यानी उसकी फ्रीक्वेंसी दी है 82। अगर आप कॉन्टिजेंसी टेबल के साथ इसको रिलेट करें स्टूडेंट्स, so within the first row the very first value was indicated as 1,1 where that value or the proportion was located, और उसकी actual value जो थी proportion की that was 82. So 82 was placed on to the first row and first column. Now moving on to the next value which is 70. अब स्टूडेंट सबसे पहले मैं फर्स्ट रो का डेटा कंप्लीट करूंगी, एंटर करूंगी, देन फॉर द सेकंड रो एंड लास्टली फॉर द थर्ड रो। एज यू रिमेंबर कि हमारे पास 3 रोज थी और 3 ही कॉलम्स थे। नाउ मूविंग ऑन टू द नेक्स्ट वैल्यू, फर्स्ट रो, सेकंड कॉलम एंड द काउंट इज 70. नाउ द लास्ट वैल्यू अंडर द फर्स्ट रो, दैट इज रो नंबर 1, कॉलम नंबर 3 and the frequency against that was 62. So students, पहली 3 values हमने इस तरह से complete की and we have entered its data. Now moving on to the second row, we'll be following the same procedure for entering. Second row, first column पे जो value पड़ी हुई थी वो थी 93. So we have entered that. Now moving on to the second row and second column. So second row, second column के against the count was 62. Then the last value of the second row was located onto second row, third column, and the count against that value was 67. Once we are done with the definition of the first and second row, हमने तमाम counts उसके all possible counts enter कर चुके हैं. Now we are left with the third row. That is the last row of our contingency table. Now students, for the third row we'll be repeating the same process. Third row, first column, and the count against that was 25. Now the next value is third row, second column, and the count of the frequency against that position was 18. And lastly students, जो हमारी last value थी contingency table की, जो कि third row, third column पे पड़ी हुई थी, जो कि उसकी लोकेशन है, and the count against that was 21. So students, this was the procedure to enter the contingency table as far as chi-square test of homogeneity is concerned. So you have learned that how to enter the data of a contingency table into the SPSS.